Welcome to the first module of this general psychology course. In this video, we will be covering material in the first chapter of the Psychology in Everyday Life textbook. The origins of psychology trace back to the early philosophers, who set the groundwork for the sciences that would follow. They created the foundations of logic, reasoning, and epistemology, meaning our theory of knowledge and what means can be used to acquire it. Since the early philosophers, science has been growing in its depth of knowledge base and the breadth of subjects which are being studied. The field of psychology has developed relatively recently in comparison to many of the other fields of scientific inquiry. Wilhelm Wundt began his experimentations on a December day in 1879 in a small third-floor room in a German university. He was studying basic mental processes at the time, for example, how long it took people to press a telegraph key after hearing a ball hit a platform. Psychology was also influenced by the work of Charles Darwin, whose ideas about natural selection gave rise to many ideas in evolutionary psychology. Ivan Pavlov, a Russian physiologist, contributed much to the field of learning when he made his discoveries of classical conditioning with his dogs. Also, Sigmund Freud was another enormous early contributor to the field of personality and psychotherapy. Few of the early pioneers in the field of psychology were women. However, there were exceptions. William James accepted Mary Whiton Calkins as a student at Harvard in the late 1800s. Although Calkins did outscore all the male students on the PhD exams, Harvard University denied her a degree. In its place, she was told, she could have a degree from Radcliffe College, Harvard's sister school for women. Calkins turned down the offer but continued her work, which her colleagues honored by electing her the first female president of the American Psychological Association, or APA. For some time, psychology was defined as the science of mental life. However, this definition changed when two American psychologists dismissed this idea and offered their own: the scientific study of observable behavior. However, as the humanistic psychologists emerged in the 1960s, their critique of the field of psychology was that it did not allow enough room for what they felt was the most important things to learn from psychological research, ways that a positive environment can enhance our personal growth and nurture our needs for love and acceptance. More recently, cognitive neuroscience has enriched our understanding of the brain activities underlying our mental activities. The result of this long journey has led to the current definition of psychology, the science of behavior and mental processes. As the field of psychology has progressed, a number of subfields in the discipline have emerged. Here are some examples. Biological psychology studies the links between brain and mind. If one part of the brain becomes damaged, what mental skills can we expect to become weaker? That is the type of question that a biological psychologist asks. Developmental psychologists study our changing abilities from womb to tomb. At what age do children learn that objects continue to exist even when they cannot be seen? Is the type of research question that developmental psychologists seek an answer to. Cognitive psychologists experiment with how we perceive, think, and solve problems. Personality psychologists investigate the individual psychological traits that people possess and the degree to which they change or remain constant over time. Industrial organizational psychologists study and advise on behavior in the workplace. Counseling psychologists help people cope with personal and career challenges by recognizing their strengths and resources. Clinical psychologists assess and treat mental, emotional, and behavioral disorders. Clinical psychologists are distinct from psychiatrists, who are medical doctors who also prescribe drugs when treating psychological disorders. Social psychologists explore how we view and affect one another.